Hi, it's Christina with the Sisyphean Journal. I'm watching Karlyn Borysenko's ad about the abortion storytellers at the Socialist Conference. And she talked about how they do all this stuff to train women who've had abortions of how to tell their stories to the press. And Karlyn's why aren't the conservatives doing this? Guess what, Karlyn? We are doing this. We've been doing this. Nancy Jo Mann founded WEBA, Women Exploited by Abortion, in 1973. That's both a support group and a speakers training group for women who've had horrible abortion experiences. Does anybody listen? No. You prop up some shout your abortion and every media truck in a tri-county area at the very least is going to be there, and there's going to be headline news about this. But you're not going to get it when some woman's telling a story about how awful her abortion was. When Becky Bell died in 1988, she had a miscarriage while she was dying of aspiration pneumonia. Her parents got confused. They saw the word abortion, which is the medical term for miscarriage, on her autopsy report. They were convinced that she'd had some kind of illegal abortion. And abortion rights groups did nothing to disabuse them of this misapprehension. Instead, they dragged them all over the country, and they got press left and right and center. The coverage was relentless. But when Marla Cardamone's mother went public about her daughter dying from a botched abortion that she'd been browbeaten into, this unwanted abortion that killed her, cue crickets. Nobody cared. At Life Dynamics, we did a documentary about Christy Style. Her mother told the story of how Christy was left in a persistent vegetative state. Christy finally died 22 years later. We couldn't buy advertising for it. We couldn't buy advertising to publicize a documentary because it made abortion look bad. You know, all we can do is preach to the choir because nobody else will listen. That's why I try to talk to people like you. Because once you're pro-life, you're a non-entity. We've got trained former abortion practitioners who speak, the counselors, the nurses, the doctors, the clinic owners. Excellent, very well-trained speakers who tell compelling stories, but when they're speaking, do the media show up? Hell no. Cree Irwin Shepherd's brother talked about his sister's death after an abortion at Planned Parenthood. Do you think the press is going to show up and listen to that brother talk about how devastating that was to his sister? Who do you think the press care about more, Planned Parenthood or some dead black girl? That dead black girl, the press doesn't care any more than they care about little Amaria Jones, who got shot dead in her house by a stray bullet when she was showing her mom dance moves. Only certain Black Lives Matter, and certainly Cree's death doesn't matter to the mainstream media. You know, there's the Abortion Survivors Network, that it's a combination support group and advocacy group for people who survived prenatal attempts on their lives. They were giving speeches in front of the Supreme Court. Did you even hear about it? No, but let me tell you, if a bunch of pro-choice women were down in front of the Supreme Court telling their happy abortion stories, you can bet all the networks would be there. CNN would be there. Huffington Post would be there. All about all these happy abortion stories. But I'm only here because I was born alive, and instead of throwing me in a bucket and drowning me, some nurse grabbed me and took me to the hospital. That's not a story that you're going to see. So what you need to do, Karlyn, is you need to tell us, how do we get the media to care more about these women than they do about abortion? And I think you've seen it when you went to that conference. Abortion is more important than anything else to them. Cree's abortion happened, good enough. Tanya Reeves' abortion happened, good enough. Diamond Williams' abortion happened, good enough. They don't care if they had Hanan Rotem with his receptionist administering general anesthesia. They don't care about Gloria Aponte dying at his clinic. They don't care about the filthy conditions in the clinic where Ellen Williams died. They were kind of forced to cover Kermit Gosnell, but they gave really short shrift to Karnamaya Mongar, and they never even mentioned Shamika Shaw. Okay? You tell me how we can let people know that we're doing these things. Because, like I said, all we can do is preach to the choir, because it doesn't matter if we're out in public, doesn't matter if we send out the press releases, it doesn't matter. We couldn't buy advertising to advertise Christie's Choice. We couldn't buy advertising to advertise Line 5. The Gosnell movie couldn't buy advertising to advertise their movie. Unplanned, Abby Johnson's story, they couldn't buy advertising to advertise their movie. You tell us, how do we get heard? Because we're doing these things, we just get shut out.